Welcome to the Path Monk Presents podcast. My name is Sean Donnelly Lewis, and in today's episode, we're speaking with Scot Keith, and he is the founder, CEO, president, all-in-one man of 123 West. Scot, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was a mouthful, but tell us all about 123 West. What do you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been doing this for 28 years. My original three other partners were, I'm more of course, on this business strategy side. My partners were literally one of the top art directors, designers, and writers in the country, three of them. And we purposely set up our company in a garage in East Vancouver in Canada in 2013. We got a whole bunch of press on it. We actually eventually had to leave our garage because we won so many clients. We didn't even have a washroom in the garage. We had to go in my partner's house. And then we went into a working linen factory where they were literally industrial style cleaning clothes. It was like if you watch Breaking Bad, it was like going through the meth lab of Breaking Bad. What we do is our whole overhead. I mean, our business model is low overhead, high talent. So the money we save working in these really junky little places, we put back into hiring the very best people. And then that's a direct benefit to our clients. So what we do is everything starts at strategy, and then we do all forms of design and advertising, which is, of course, is digital too. So TV ads, video ads, packaging, logos, brand identities. And at our best, we're doing everything where we're basically transforming a brand that needs some help, or we're accelerating a brand, or even starting up a company from scratch, full naming, you name it. And it's been almost 8 years, and we're having lots of fun.
Very cool. Just thinking about some of your clientele, have you worked with small companies, medium size, large? Just talk about your clientele for a second.
All types, everything from the bigger international ones, like the Mercedes-Benz and 7-Elevens and Michelins and so on. Obviously, a lot of stuff in Canada. So Tim Hortons is a really big brand. We actually did industrial design. Sometimes we do these really interesting projects. They go through 2 billion coffees per year. So we actually made the coffee lids and actually put a maple leaf on it. And that got a lot of press because it's such a big brand, and Justin Bieber hated it. And then he talked about it and it made it even more popular and so on. And we also work with a lot of regional stuff. The area that we're in is a place called British Columbia. It's on the West Coast, and it's one of the literally most beautiful places in the world. And so we get to work on promoting BC to the rest of the world. We also work with Banff, which is another beautiful place in Alberta. We have a really kind of wide range of clients. And although we tend to also do a lot of alcohol clients, we're working on cider companies, whiskey, beer, and wine, which is great. So if you can drink it, we can do it.
Thinking about how you've been able to grow the company, you said that you started very humbly, if I could say it that way.
Yes.
How have you been able to grow it? Has it just been referrals? Have you done inbound digital marketing, SEO, SEM? Which
of everything, right? Like in our business, the best thing is do something really good that really works, whatever that is. And the experience, I often say this, it's not just the quality of the work we do and the results that the work gets, it's the experience of working with us. And what I mean by that, it's not like we're sitting having big parties and we don't send out expensive gifts by any means because we're low overhead. But it's just on a daily basis. We just have extremely collaborative, nice people. We hire on talent and good character. You must have both, but the latter is almost even more importantly. And so we get a lot of referral work. When people see something great we do, whether it's packaging or advertising or starting a brand from scratch, you get a bit of a, who did that? We've gotten a lot of press in the trade press, even some consumer press in Canada. So we're big believers in PR and telling our own story. We manage our company like a real brand. Which I always find fascinating, is I've been doing this for a very long period of time, and I've even worked at some really great agency networks and so on. But I've always found it fascinating that sometimes agencies who are in charge of creating brands and maintaining brands are often brutal at their own. And so for us from day one, we've always wanted to make sure our story was interesting, unique, and so on. And we win about 90-something% of our pitches, partly because we stick out.
Very nice. And thinking about the overall marketing picture, what role does the website play in acquiring new clients?
Very important. Our original website, this is a fun one, is because at least out here is that when in our business is that, it's all about the work. But when you work for other agencies, it's a real faux pas to actually show the work that you did at other agencies. In fact, you might even out here get a cease and desist. So it's a little bit of a problem when you're saying, hey, we're starting this company and you've done like fantastic, like world-class work, my partners and I, for many, many years, but we can't show it.
Okay.
So what we did is, because of our model overhead high talent and we couldn't show our work, let's just do something kind of crazy. So what we did is our whole original website was from talent from Fiverr.com, where we pay people $5 to tell our story and to do our bios. And it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. It cost $600. And we won a Cannes Lion at 9 weeks after we started, which may even be close to a record. And so yeah, the website was nuts. It was literally so whacked out that it was almost like, hey, if you actually want something really creative, you might like this company called 123 West. If you think that this is absolutely batshit crazy, they're probably not the right agency for you. So we used that for like 3 years and actually had phenomenal results from it. And then we started to change it over time because it was starting to even sometimes scare some good clients away.
Right.
Because it was so out there. And so now it's a bit more normal and so on, which is still good.
Yeah. What do you think is the strength of it? You're talking about possibly some people now landing on your landing page, looking at the website. Do you think its strength would be the ability to convert, the quality of leads, or the user experience?
Yeah, it's a bit of that. Like, people kind of come into us a whole bunch of different ways. Like, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I've got quite a few people following me, so I post work and so on. And sometimes I'll get like 50,000 views on something like that, and then you can almost like directly see the correlation with our website traffic. And so we get a lot of people just kind of reaching out to us through there. So that's that's been really good. We now, like, originally we never put our work up because we couldn't, we had to build our portfolio from scratch. So it was all about the original website was just to create intrigue, to get us a meeting. And we still do that. We don't put that much work on our website because I want people to be interested enough that they want to talk to us. But we are putting a lot more work than we used to in the past. And that really helps out too, because every client's a little bit different. And sometimes they do need to see, can they actually do this type of thing that we actually need? And some of these decisions on what agencies they want to talk to are, made sometimes at 9 o'clock at night when they're doing some quick agency searches. So by actually changing that at that life cycle that we're at, it's actually really helped us.
And usually when I have people on the show, they talk about the website in a good light, and then there's always this, but it could be a little bit better mentality. If you were to change something, if you were to improve something, what would you hope it would be? Would it be the ability to convert, the quality of leads, or the user experience?
The user experience is purposely just really simple. So that one's not too bad, although I'm sure that there's some improvements on that. But, obviously it's always about quality of leads. I spend a lot of my time during the week right now. Like, luckily people are reaching out, but it's just a little bit difficult because, of course, in that XY axis of, clients, larger clients with money who want to do great work, like that's who we all want. Right. And, so luckily some of those folks reach out, or we reach out to them. And then there's this, there's that other quadrant on the opposite side is I have a lot of work for you to do. I don't have any money. And that's always the awkward one. Right. So it's But even that, when I'm talking to those folks, particularly a lot of like startups and so on, is that I make time. I want to talk to them because you know what? Maybe we're not the right fit for them today or vice versa, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. So every impression is a good impression or a bad impression, right? And so you know, sometimes we can't make a deal, but keep it friendly, and you never know what's going to happen.
And coming back to what you guys do, just for everyone listening, what would you say helps you stand out? What do you guys do differently than other people that occupy the same space?
Yeah, so a couple of things have happened to even get to the work is because we have this low overhead, high talent model, is as we started to scale, we brought in more creative directors. So typically at agencies, almost like a pyramid on the creative side, is that there's one or two creative directors, and the vast majority of people are kind of the up and comer style people. And so we actually have 15 working creative directors. Creative directors come to work for us, work with us to actually do the work. And it's our business is kind of nuts, is that the minute that you get elite at what you do, like Malcolm Gladwell, who's a Canadian, said 10,000 hours, is you get 10,000, 20, 30,000 hours, and someone chops you on the shoulder and says, okay, you're not going to really do what you're good at anymore. You're going to manage people who are kind of learning that trade, and you'll sit in management meetings and you'll talk about numbers, and the vast majority of people actually absolutely hate that. And you know, I'm a big believer that creative people should create, and so that's what they do here. So basically, because of that, you know, it just allows us to do a whole bunch of different types of work. And we've also diversified our creative leadership, is we have more female creative directors than anyone, at least in Western Canada, maybe the country. And we've also diversified ourselves from making sure that, you know, we call BIPOC in Canada, Black, Indigenous, people of color. We're making sure that we're really diverse in our representation. And what's happened is that everyone's got their own style, everyone's got their own background, and it's just making our work like so much better. So, and some people are more experts in obviously design. Some people are a bit better in storytelling. We pair people up depending on what the project is. And so our sweet spot right now, we do a whole bunch of stuff, but our best work is when it's really the client's like, I got a problem. And we always like to put it in a problem. Like, I got a problem is that I was number one and now I'm number four because the world changed and we didn't. And I need some smart and creative thinkers to help transform my business. That's one of my favorite things to do. Brand that was awesome 15 years ago that literally needs to throw a Hail Mary right now and do something smart and different so they will not go extinct. The other one is just the accelerators. We started off, we got to a certain point right now. We're working with a couple different groups in Silicon Valley and all over the Canada and so on. And it's just like, we've got to here. Now we need to accelerate and get to that whole other level. So we just need better design or better storytelling, better strategy, and so on. We need to have our messaging completely integrated at every single touch point, whether it's the website, digital, social, advertising, internal, B2B, you name it. And then of course, startups itself, it's just like, hey, I got an idea. but I need a name, I need a logo, I need brand identity, I need how the heck do we even communicate this thing? So those are kind of like the three major buckets. Of course, we're happy just to make a radio ad if a client wants us to do that, or design something, make it look cool. We don't, on the design side, we don't really just make stuff pretty. Like, anyone can do that. Like, there's lots of talented people that can make stuff look good. But for us, that's a bit hollow. It's kind of like a Hollywood facade of those old Western towns with a big piece of wood on the back of it and so on, is that we want to create like fully dimensional, real brands that people can talk about and really help entrepreneurs and companies and so on.
And just thinking about you being a CEO, you being a founder, growth is a big deal. So I really like to pick our CEOs and founders' brain when it comes to growth. If I said innovation, what would you say is the biggest challenge to growth when it comes to innovating?
Yeah, like handcuffing yourself. Like we're a people-based business, right? So we don't like the only product is us. It's basically our ideas and our sweat. So we've actually kind of gone through this a couple of years, is that there was 4 of us originally. Now we have 6 partners and all these awesome people. But what was happening is that we were very innovative in our own space in Canada to a certain point, and then we started to actually plateau a little bit after about 3.5 years. We had some really strong growth, started to plateau. Our business for about 2 years was roughly about the same, and we were kind of treading water a little bit. And we had to pull back a little bit, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs need to do this. Is that at the start, the best thing about your company is people who found it and the people who are kind of then join that original journey. But then you realize if you want to innovate and have growth in our sector, is you've got to empower more and more people. You've got to actually not just be leading from the front, you got to be leading from behind. You have to create a culture, you have to create a process, you have to create, make sure you have, what your values are and what your goals are, and have everyone that comes in to buy into that. And so now we have all these awesome creative directors and great senior account people and planners and so on. And I'm enjoying things more than ever, because like I don't have to be in every meeting. And not that we were complete micromanagers at the start, but you have to let go more.
Right.
And it was not easy for us at the start, because we were doing things very differently. So if we're hiring people from traditional companies and so on, there was a certain level of deprogramming that needed to happen, because people kind of come in and bring their good and bad habits. Our industry changed, and some people weren't changing rapidly enough with it. So we had to kind of get people to think a little bit differently on how we do things, and do it faster and smarter and add more value and stuff. And it's been totally working. Once we started to pull back and really do the things we need to do to be innovative in our own way, our business actually took off again.
Very cool. Yeah, it makes me think about the whole concept of innovation, right? Like we think of innovation, or maybe even as a founder, you would think of innovation as looking a certain way. But then you're saying like you getting out of the way might be part of that innovation.
100%.
I guess that's got to be a hard thing to be able to let go and think innovation even bigger than yourself.
I think because the greatest thing of what we do is we get to work with all these companies. I get to spend time with people running companies. I actually have gone to CEO school, believe it or not. We have a CEO school, because none of us really know what the heck we're doing.
Right.
And that quite frankly really helped transform my own brain. All the things that you think you're supposed to be doing when you're running a company are not necessarily what you should be doing anymore. I'm a big believer in what they call vulnerable leadership. That's basically the person or people at the top not having all the answers. Sometimes my answer is, I have no idea what the answer is, but I'm going to bring in these 5 or 6 people. I'm going to set up what the problem is, and then they're going to help with me. I'm almost going to moderate it. And then we're, as a team, going to actually find what the right solution to the problem is. And, it's the old saying is, multiple heads are better than one, right? And so that alone has been really good, because we've all worked for those people that think that they always know, they're in walks, here he is, the smartest person in the room coming in again.
Yeah.
So that's when you acknowledge that you are not this, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be a person in the room. And then the collective, if you've hired really well and brought people on, is that you'll come out with a way better outcome if you're all talking about it and figuring out what the common goal is.
And just want to switch gears here for a second and talk about you as a leader. What kind of content do you consume to educate yourself? And you talked about going to CEO school, but to grow as a person and as a professional.
Yeah. So like, just like back again, I'm a huge believer of any education, but executive education, I think has just been, personally, it's been an absolute game changer for me. Is there's no book on how to properly do this, or there are books, but it's just, there's never just one book. It's probably 10,000 different books. And you kind of got to figure out what your style is too. And sometimes you learn just as much when you learn through osmosis with being around good leaders and good CEOs. And then you also kind of, some people you're learning like, I don't want to be like that guy.
Right.
And so that's been really, really helpful. When I went to the CEO school, we a lot of it wasn't just, okay, here's how to do business, blah, blah, blah. It was a lot about, you need to get better sleep, like the softer stuff. You need to
Interesting.
actually have a life. We would do this whole exercise on analyzing our life and work within it, our
Hmm.
relationships, our fitness, a whole bunch of different things. And then, being a typical guy, it was like the first time, I ever really analyzed myself. I get paid to analyze things for clients, but
Yeah.
myself, I had a couple eureka moments.
Yeah.
One is that for most of my life, I was afraid to fail. I did things and worked hard so I would not fail. And it wasn't about being good. It wasn't about being not bad. And which is actually, in hindsight, that was a pretty dumb way to live. But it worked for me for many, many years. And then, eventually, this is before I started this company, but I had a personal failure at work where I helped run a company when I was in Toronto, and it didn't go well for a whole bunch of reasons. I was obviously tied to that, but I just didn't like being there, and had trouble with the owner and a whole bunch of other things. And so it was a failure. I just quit. I resigned. And it bothered me. I mean, it really bothered me because I spent my whole career climbing up this mountain from the bottom to near the top. And then I got to the top and I was like, this sucks. And so that really helped me out of like that failure. At the time, failing sucks. And so you need some space. But the reality is that major failure in my career was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it propelled me to start my first company. And then after that, we started 123 West. And so I needed that failure to actually to get better and create the life I wanted to live. So I'm a big believer in that too. There's no such thing as, in my head, as work-life balance. It's just life. This is just what your life is. You work, you have a good time with your family, you enjoy whatever else you like doing. You've got to figure out how it all kind of flows together. And so that's been good for me too.
And since we're slowly coming to the end of the interview, I just want to jump into our rapid fire questions. So they're just
Okay.
short and sweet questions and answers, but try and be honest, okay? Honesty is always the best policy. Scott, what was the last book that you read?
Oh geez. Barney's Version, Mordecai Richler.
Okay. What is the one thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
Right now, it's just really about transforming brands.
If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be the one thing you want to have fixed for your company today?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think just even stronger. We're all remote right now, so just even stronger, like another better way on to be on a Zoom style type call, but actually feel like you're really there and
Okay.
missing that energy.
Yeah. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about your company?
To me, it's just the big thing that just still keeps me awake is we're the top small agency in the country right now. We're business is going really, really well, but we're still in this pandemic. So I do sleep with one eye open all the time, because I've got these awesome people who all have families, and I'm just constantly worried that a month from now, then something completely out of everyone's control will happen, and that will affect a whole bunch of people. That's what bothers me.
You're talking about all the lessons that you learned over your professional journey. If you could start over day one, let's just go back all the way back. Start over day one. What would be the one piece of advice you give yourself?
I just I would just continue. Like I probably have, but just enjoy the process, enjoy the ride. I think I generally have, but it's just like, there's sometimes for some people like myself, there's never really a quick route. You have to kind of put the work in, and you gotta take some time. You got to walk the path to get to the final destination. And if you do that, things are going to be okay.
All right, everyone. That was Scott Keith, and you can find out all the great work that they're doing at 123 West or 123w.ca, excuse me. Scott, for the last word, the last part of the show is we let our guests have the last word. So if there's anything that you feel like we left out, or if you want to sum up everything that we talked about today, or if you have something else on your heart, I just want to give you the last word. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks. You know what, is, from my point of view, is just kind of what we do. From a business point of view, is that really smart thinking and creativity, doing something unique but relevant in a very disruptive and fun or smart or sad or some sort of emotive fashion is what it now takes to get noticed and to drive the results you need to do. Is it, no one ever did something amazing by doing what everyone else constantly did and just doing an okay job. If you're going to do something, do it great, get talked about in a good way, and then have fun doing it.
Thanks for your time today, Scott.
Thank you.